Thanks, Ankit. At least I tried to get 2 GPUs during lunch session. I don't know about Mohit. He seems pretty fit, so maybe he missed on them. For those of you who don't know Mohit, while he can write code during the day, he can DJ and party during the night, and he's the DJ in it. So, as he explained to me, जितनी सुंदर तरीके से मेरी उंगलियां कोड लिखती हैं, उतनी बढ़िया तरीके से शाम को कीबोर्ड भी चलाती हैं. So here's a man who knows how to use fastest fingers first, both during the day and at night when he wants to party. Thanks a lot, Mohit, for
Thank you, Deepak, for generous introduction. You leaked my secret power.
ये 2 GPU का कमाल है. So, Mohit, post-lunch session is the most difficult session. Everyone's trying to doze off through their GPUs, but we'll try to wake them up and keep them awake because what we're discussing today is the AI stack. And on the first question on that is, should we go Atmanirbhar, build it all on our own indigenous method, or should we borrow, see what's available off the shelf, put it together, assemble, and build the stack? What is your view on it?
Look, I think Atmanirbhar is always the perfect solution, but I think we need to understand the reality and we need to understand, how much time it will take for us to do something like this. So if you see the foundational model, I think they have come in awareness of everyone in last 3-4 years. But I think the work was started in 2007-8, and the first paper that was written in Google Attention is all you need if you have read. I think it was sometime around, if I'm not wrong, somewhere between 2012 to 14, and that is a huge amount of time that researcher must have wasted to get to this point. So there are many examples as well, and my perfect example is F1. If I don't know how many of you are here F1 fan, I think for you, yeah, there are some. So last 4 or 5 years, the team that has been winning all F1 races is Red Bull. And what do they make? They make that drink and caffeine. So they make nothing. They assembled, they took engine from Ferrari, they took brakes from someone else and assembled a beautiful machine that wins all the races. So I think we should be doing that. That saves us time, and then at the same point of time, have a long-term view on how do we become self-serve.
So you're saying that don't necessarily try to build it all yourself. If you can borrow the best, then go for it. Just make sure that your assembling is so fine-tuned that the outcome eventually is what you want.
Actually, entire concept of LLM works on that. Foundation models are trained on huge amount of data and they are broad. They hallucinate, many of the time they give you wrong answer and all. So the majority of the IP that is being made, even the company that is quite popular these days is Perplexity. I'm assuming you guys all use using that. They don't have their own foundational model. They use one of the one from there. And what they have done is they have optimized the output. They have optimized the efficacy of the conversational art, that you see on the app, and look at what that company is doing. And even on the glance, it's not my foundational model, but we use 7 of them. And we do everything before and after to make the perfect output.
Can you tell me 3 things if you're taking that approach, which is assembling the best available off the shelf? How do you keep it thereby scalable or even ready for the next big upgrade? Because, when you talk to the techies, they say, yaar, मैंने कल ही GPT 4.0 के base पे बनाया और अब नया 5 आ गया है. Then how do I do it? So now when you're assembling everything, custom fit, and then you're basing it on certain versions of AI or certain level of AI, how do you then still keep it nimble enough, adaptable enough to be able to adopt to the next new version of AI or the LLMs?
So I'll give you 2 answers. So first of all, as a CTO, I'll be very upset with that engineer who comes and tell me, hey, I made it for, GPT 4.0 or 3, and how will I change it to the new one? Because the entire concept of software engineering is the modular design. What you do is the good architect, good system engineer, they break down the component, and what they do is basically they define the contracts between those 2 components. How do they talk to each other? As long as you are maintaining that portability, I think you can continue to keep changing things in between, and it should not change your design. So I do believe AI is a very long race. every 3 months we will see one model beating other model. How many times you will go and you change it? So you should be able to use Claude today, Model O, ChatGPT O, OpenAPI O tomorrow, and Gemini 2.5 or something else, DeepSeek or whatever else is coming. But your software should not change. So I think that's how you address these problems. Scalability needs to be a before thought whenever we are thinking about AI. Otherwise, it's of no use.
So scalability and sustainability is the question next I wanted to also sort of dig deeper into. What are the components of programming or a tech stack which make it still nimble-footed to be able to adapt and scale faster in this day and age? Again, earlier we were having a discussion. So at least in my company, when I run the website, the joke is that now there is AI, now there is ChatGPT. So to a tech team, a product guy would say, तेरे पास तो झटपट GPT है, now you can do it much faster. Why don't you quickly take a bolt-on approach and do things fast? But in this approach of the Jhatpat GPT approach or the faster AI, no code, low code, or the zero code approach, how do you still manage the scalability and sustainability of the architecture?
Look, I think if you go back 50 years ago, the software and hardware was together, the mainframe and all this, I'm old enough to work on those components where you have to have mainframe, and this is the language you will use. You'll do programming on COBOL, and that's what you write. Then VAX VMS and those kind of machine came, and then Sun Microsystem came. And that's where basically the hardware and software, they start to get separated. They start to get separated from each other, and now I can basically work on both. So we were not tied to the hip. And now you are on the next level. So if you see any foundational model or API or AI that we are talking about, in the end, they are APIs. You give an input, you call them as token, and and they process them and they give you an output. That comes out. And then what you want to do, you write a lot of software around it. So the more loosely you keep these components, I think you will always be scalable. And I'll tell you, even you think if this is hard. Yesterday, Grok, not the GROK Grok, GROQ. It's a hardware company. His founder, Jonathan Russ, visited us in InMobi. I'm a very big fan of him. He's the father of TPUs, actually. Google designed TPUs to counter GPUs in 2012 and 14. And they have learning and inferencing both different components. He realized 3-4 years ago, actually 5-6 years ago, that GPUs are going to have a bottleneck. It's just one company, how many they can make, and it's very rigid. GPU, the existing that you see is even H100 and all, they have a problem. They are still based on old DRAM concept. In a very basic way, if I have to explain you DRAM, you actually solder it to the circuit board, right? And it has few exit and entry point. So that's where the clogging will happen. The model, we are already talking 400 billion parameters, and it will increase. So he took a completely different route. He said, I'm not going to have a hub spoke model. Rather, I will make a multiple assembly line, smaller assembly line. They all know what I'm doing, and they will keep talking to each other, and it has unlimited scalability. And the performance that he showed is basically roughly 20x improvement over H100, which is very hard to get these days from NVIDIA. And we are going to try that out in next 1 month or so. But think about it. People are even at a hardware level because he's separating the processing and the hardware architecture itself. So scalability, I think, is all about creativity and innovation. And I believe we have not scratched the surface yet.
Where does I'm sort of taking a bit of sidetrack here, because this approach and this thinking, right? We discussed earlier the importance of research and thereby the thinking, because in the colleges today, the curriculum as well as the approach to engineering and approach to technology, is that where things need to start changing to have such an approach, the federated structure that you talked about? Or is that something that the workplace and the offices of today will need to now start training people for?
I think, look, the worst problem with our education system, and I'm also a what do you call product of it, is for us, education is means to job. You give an exam, we all wrote JE, you go to IIT. I had no idea what I wanted to do in life. and neither my counselor had any idea what basically we just went by rank. This was my rank and these are the open branches, and I just looked at the name and one branch looked something different. I never heard of it and I just ended up in that branch.
So he's a material science engineer who's become the CTO of InMobi and using AI.
Yeah, so by education, I'm a metallurgical engineer. And my first job was in a steel plant, and my first job was to automate one of very toxic and very heavily,
Plant at Tata Steel.
Tata Steel coke oven plant, where the number of injuries and deaths were quite high. And Tata's wanted to automate that plant, and that's how I got into that. So this is the situation of our education, and I don't think it has changed. People do computer science, and after they go and they do sales. I'm not saying they should not do it, but you literally wasted your 4 years, in my opinion. But same thing if you go to China and if you go to US. And my son, he studied in US, and for him, the entry process was a 4-year process that started when he was in 8th grade. First question, in the 8th grade, do I want to study STEM or I want to go into liberal arts and all those things? Once you decide, okay, STEM is the area, then what do I want to do? Do I want to do code? I want to do something else, biology, biomolecular engineering and whatnot. And then when you come to 11th, then okay, what are the school where I think I'll be successful? Who are the people I want to be with? And then you go, you see all the school, then you create your list and then you apply in them, and if you get one of them, you end up in the place where you want to be. So once you have that kind of journey, and even when you go to these school, now they are so focused. So by the way, no relation to me, but he's also doing his undergrad in material science. But he's very clear, I want to actually build batteries.
Batteries.
Because the country is going to have energy problem. I'm going to build batteries. And right now the problem of batteries is based on lithium. There is not enough lithium and cobalt in the world to basically sustain all the EV, so they need to be changed. So he wants to work on solid state batteries where you don't have any cathode. And he's actually here doing internship at Ola in their battery plant. So when you go do that, then people are incentivized to do MS and research. And I do hope that he end up doing some research, because then he will find the solution. Same thing is happening in AI. So we are dealing with 2 countries where people spend 10 years reading, understanding, and actually writing something unique or writing a paper on AI. That's how DeepSeek, that's how OpenAI, these things come out. So unless until we change that, I think it's a very hard ask.
What Papa couldn't do with material science, Beta is planning to do.
I seriously hope, and I hope he'll do it because he wanted to do it. It's not like I just ended up.
Fair enough. Because from Tata Steel, he went off to San Francisco. And that was a leap. And there's one interesting thing that I never knew, which I learned 30 minutes ago. That Tata Steel was working on such latest technology during that time that became a place where multinationals would come and fetch raw engineering talent.
And I have a funny story. I just forgot because you asked me. So when I was in IT Rookie, Wipro came, and Wipro was hiring 100 people, and they have this large project of Y2K project where you need to do nothing. Open up the prompt, go to the editor, change 2-digit date to 4-digit, right? And I was not selected. They said you don't have a computer science degree, and I was very disappointed, dejected. And then I ended up at Tata Steels. Very soon I realized I got the opportunity not only to write software and then actually understand compiler. I was able to understand how to work with hardware. And then one company came, and they used to come to Jamshedpur because they said, everything else is garbage in Bangalore because I don't need Y2K. I need someone who understands hardware. I need someone who understands software. And it was literally like a campus. And possibly I was the first one to go to US in like 1 year. And while everybody is in Wipro waiting for their chance and all that. So sometimes, things happen.
The way to US, otherwise people assume is TCS Wipro, but here's a guy who did it from Tata Steel. Interesting. So that brings me to, the raw talent that is required today in companies like yours and many others do they want AI ready engineers, or do they take raw engineers and then baptize them with AI themselves, like Infosys has been doing for years together in Mysuru in their center? What do you look for, and how do you go about hiring talent?
So look, in my opinion, there is no such thing as AI ready engineer or AI non-ready engineer. I think every engineer needs to know AI. End of the day, it's a computer science. It's a foundational stuff that we have read. And it's a form of machine learning that has been there for many years. It just have become, the language models have come and you can converse with them and you can do all that sort of things. What AI has done is basically, first thing, it has dropped the bar of being an average engineer because it can write basic code very easily. So if you were just good enough to write a Java code, I think you are not needed today. But at the same point of time, it has raised the bar of great engineers. So if you are already good and great engineer, now you are even more effective because you have such a strong helper right next to you, and since you are good at it, you understand it very well, you can use it to your advantage. So it's like supercar and these F1 and all, if you hand it over to normal people who sometimes, so every month there is a big accident in LA. One of these star or celebrity, they will crash their Bugatti or McLaren to some pole or something. Because money can help you buy those cars, but that years of experience, to run it or basically, race it, you will only learn when you are on the field, when you are in the track, So that is the analogy I would say. So it's a great time to be a great engineer because you can brush up all those things and can increase the lead. But if you are at average, it's time for you to worry because I think the model will catch up. They will start to do a lot of additional stuff and you will find yourself in a big problem, if not now, in 2 years down the line. So when we hire, we actually want to make sure that our engineers are closer to that greatness point so that we can improve, we can groom them. And it's getting harder. Our rejection rate right now is more than 95%.
Is that one of the reasons why you opened up a new center in Lucknow to start looking beyond Bengaluru, beyond the big metros?
So 3 reasons. So for that 3 reasons, one of the most fundamental was basically I'm just tired of everything happening in Bangalore. You can't do justice to a country that is 1.4 billion, 4 billion population, depends on one city. That is just not scalable. And we are already seeing, you are not finding the right people. North has a great talent. I'm from that city, I'm from that area. And I think within Lucknow, I can tell you roughly there are 15 colleges, some amazing education. People are quite motivated as well. They don't want to leave their home. They want to spend there as long as they get right opportunity. So what I wanted to solve is, first thing is, software is not the fiefdom of Bangalore alone. I think it can happen in any other city. So that's the point we want to prove.
That's a political line. Software is not the fiefdom of Bangalore.
So, or for that matter, any city. Why take name of Bangalore? Is for any city. So it needs to spread. And why I'm driven it, basically, if you see US, I think there is one downtown or one big city for 10 million population. That's how the country is so rich. That's how the country can innovate at every corner. On East, if you have Cornell and CMU and MIT, then on West you have Berkeley and Harvard. So it happens that way only. And the second part, as you said, if you want talent and if you are becoming so selective, you have to spread out. You have to find wherever the talent is and go over there. So I'll see how these 2 things will pan out, but I'm quite optimistic.
What he doesn't tell you is this gives him a chance to go back to hometown every now and then with friends and family.
That's third example.
That's the third reason.
Third reason.
But we firmly believe in this line of software is not the fiefdom of one city alone, because we've been to Hyderabad and we've had enough and interesting experiences that we've picked up. From here, we're next going to...
No, it's only 3 weeks. We have 2 weeks. We have opened up an office. I already have a ping from Yulu. Yulu is thinking of, and Amit is a co-founder from InMobi days. He's from Kanpur. He's already checking things out. And I just got one more ping right now, this morning itself, for a founder from prosper.ai. And he's opening up a center in Gorakhpur. Imagine that. This is unbelievable. So I think if one step that we have taken can change the mindset of 100 startup, I think I'm already successful.
So Soonicorns Summit is planning to go to Gurugram and Mumbai. Maybe Gorakhpur is what we'll explore next. Thanks for the tip. But that brings me to another point. Now that you're setting up in Lucknow and we're talking of many more cities. At the policy level thereby, to foster and build such an ecosystem, what would the startup community or the tech community seek from the government?
I think, look, the way we need to see AI is just not a tech. I think it's the way of life. It is as important as when UPI happened, our payment habit changed. When Uber came, your dependency or how you ride share and all those things has changed. And I think this is what AI is going to do, and it has already done it. I think from medical to music and whatnot, every field, I think you will not be able to do anything without using it. So when the impact is so big, which is going to affect, I don't know how many people from every walk of life, I think it needs to have a national level of policy. And I'm absolutely impressed with UAE and how they adopt to these new things. I think it is mind blowing. At 4 years ago, they created a ministry of AI. Just really to understand how UAE will change. And as a result, even Grok, the first data center that is coming in Asia, it's in Saudi Arabia, in Daman. So MBS and UAE has taken a lead. US always had a cabinet level position, where you said NASA had and AI and, everything is over there. And their private government collaboration is off the roof. Beijing has the determination and willpower of government, and they can actually, get things done very quickly. So I do believe we are already late. And if there are any leaders, ministers and secretaries sitting over here, I think this is as important position as Home Ministry or anything else. I think we need to have a science and AI or technology ministry who is thinking this as a national level that needs to trickle down to the state policies, city policies, and then how private sector can contribute to it. But I think someone needs to organize us, someone needs to guide us and give a regulation so that we know what needs to be done. Otherwise, it will be all chaos here and there.
So I'm told time is almost up, but I have 3 quick questions. It's kind of a rapid fire, the Karan Johar effect. One piece of advice to founders who are considering building their own tech stack.
I think, AI first is what everyone is saying, and I would also agree to that, because now a lot of things is going to change. But I think what you touched upon is, today the businesses are changing so much. I think scalability is the most paramount. You should be able to change your business, pivot it to completely something different in a matter of 2 weeks. And that is the question you need to ask your product. You need to ask your question with your engineers and teams. Can you do that? Because I think this is going to be a reality. What you're doing today, you may not be successful or you may not be doing in 6 months. But what are going to be the consequences of that event? Either you are dead or you actually became someone else. So I think that is the advice I'll give.
Second question, one architecture decision you would change if you had to start all over again.
Honestly, I think we have taken all the right decision. But yeah, what I would do if not architectural, I think I would add more. I would have added more PhDs way early on. If I had known that AI is going to come in such a way, so that would have prepared me, better. But I think our engineers are quite good, so and hopefully we'll make use of it.
That's the super engineer speaking. So these 2 questions, I'll be humbly admitting, were with the help of AI, I framed them. Now comes the human question, which I think my mind wants to ask you. Today is a Friday. At Friday 10 p.m., your family talks to the techie Mohit or the DJ Mohit at 10 p.m. Friday night.
Unfortunate part is my wife and my son, they don't like music at all. They have never listened what I play, what I make, So they know I keep doing something. And but yeah, I think, and I have also been guilty of not spending enough time, at least early on in life. And I'm trying to fix it now. Me and my wife, we both are empty nester. So for now, we have missed Indian food for so long. So the common topic that in the night we talk about is what to eat and where to go. And with my son, I figured out, how do I spend more time with him? And then he's a very good golfer. So I just tag along with him, because for them, if I just go with him for 4 or 5 hours, we are locked up with each other. So, we are just alone. And
today is a Friday night. We invite you to the ET
we have a game tomorrow tournament. So we'll be talking about, because I'm counting on him. We are a team and I'm just a sidekick.
You guys are most welcome to join the ET party tonight in case you want to change your mind.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Mohit.